guys, so we are here today at my desk because, okay, number one, I don't know if you can see this. This is where I normally sit to film. I can't move her. I just can't. Number two, I am filming this during the workday. I'm just like on my lunch right now, so this is as cute as you're getting. But I wanted to talk about Trisha, Keemstar, and Ethan again. So a couple of videos ago, I talked about Keemstar dating a 20-year-old. Trisha Paytas was the first person that came out against them. Did my cat just move? The disrespect I get in this house. Trisha Paytas was the first person that came out against him, then Ethan. Since then, Ethan's channel has been striked, and people think that Keemstar did it or had something to do with it because he did post about it publicly. I posted a video about that as well, and now we're here. A couple days ago, after Ethan's channel was striked, it came out that Trisha was going to go on the Mom's Basement podcast, and Twitter erupted. Now, I waited to film this video because the podcast came out today, so I'm filming this after I've listened to the podcast because I wanted to give Trisha the benefit of the doubt. Why, Kayla? Why did you do that? So before you end this video, subscribe to my channel. I upload twice a week, 3 times this week, and let's discuss. Basically, Keemstar posted a picture on Twitter of him, Faze Banks, and Trisha Paytas in the Mom's Basement studio. And everyone on Twitter had a fucking meltdown. For good reason. Because people were like, wow, how could you do that to Ethan? Because let's keep in mind that regardless of what went down around frenemies, Ethan and Trisha are still technically family. Like, she is engaged to Hila's brother. She will be marrying into his family. And on top of all of that, Ethan has been very kind to Trisha online. Like, Trisha has posted God knows how many hours of content about the frenemies breakup, and Ethan posted one video, and even when he brought up this topic on his platform, he hasn't shit-talked Trisha at all. Yes, his mother has said some things on their podcast, but like, she's a grown-ass woman. So Twitter was pissed basically at Trisha. They were like, how could you do this to Keemstar? How could you do this to Ethan? Like, Keemstar is like his arch enemy. Like, that's rude. I don't even care. That would be like, I said to my friend, that would be like if the second you were done with frenemies, Ethan had Gabby Hanna on his podcast. Like, and Ethan has tweeted that Gabby Hanna reached out to him and he said no. And there's actually a TikTok going around of Trisha where she said, yeah, Ethan sent me this thing and it said like, oh, just so you know, I would never do that to you. And she didn't say what the thing was, but it very much feels like this makes the most sense, it being Ethan saying, Gabby reached out to me and I would never do that to you. And she's like, it really hurt me. It was really, I appreciated it so much because like her being on his because that thing that he didn't do, it would have devastated me. She's now saying like, I don't care, go on, have her on his podcast. It's whatever. But like, we all know that that would have wrecked her and she would have posted 16 videos about it. So it's just like, have some fucking common respect, right? So Ethan basically retweeted the picture and was like, I'm not even gonna try to be funny or front. This is just sad. Like, I'm just sad. Ethan's mom got involved. The queen, Dawn Arc, called Trisha a weasel and said she wasn't going to her wedding. And I've seen a lot of people be like, oh, you're gonna like wreck your family over internet beef. And I'm just here to say that like, internet beef can be real beef. Like, this isn't over something petty. Keep in mind that Keemstar sent Ethan Klein pictures of horses for an entire year in order to insinuate that his wife looked like a horse. And here's the thing. You know, Trisha and Keemstar go on to talk on the podcast about how it's not okay to attack personal appearances, and Ethan did that to Trisha. As we all know, that's how frenemies started. However, I think, like, as a person, I mean, first of all, I think Ethan has apologized for doing that. And second of all, as a person, I think it's easier to take critiques about yourself than it is to take critiques about your family. Because, like, I get comments all the time of people calling me fat on my YouTube. It's whatever. I don't care. But, like, the second someone tries to come for my husband or my best friend, it's on fucking sight. So I feel like Keemstar knows that. And Keemstar attacked Hila because he knew it would hurt Ethan more than attacking Ethan ever would, and that's why he did it, and that's not okay. And again, this has escalated far past just internet beef because Keemstar has now attacked his family. And Keemstar, and also this is a further attack on Ethan, and Keemstar knows it, and so does Trisha, and she just doesn't fucking care because she wants clout. So I don't think it's fair to be like, oh, this is just internet beef. I think this is a real relationship that Trisha and Ethan had. Again, they are family, they will be family, and Keemstar and Ethan's beef has gone far past being just internet drama. Trisha then went on a Twitter tirade, basically defending herself, saying that she's going on the podcast because she's not going to go on the podcast just to suck Keem's dick, and that she's going to go on the podcast and call him out and have a discussion, and she believes in talking to people, which I will get to in a second. She talks about how that's how frenemies started, right? Ethan posted that video calling her a whale or something, and she went on the podcast to confront him, and then they ended up getting along, they decided to do frenemies, etc. They squashed their beef. But again, I think this is a different situation because Keemstar is trash. Although so is Trisha, so it's fine. Also, again, at the time when she went on the H3 podcast to defend herself, she wasn't friends with and or family with an enemy of Ethan. So again, it's a very different situation. She then goes on because Donna called Donna, Ethan's mom, Donna Klein. If you don't watch Families, Donna, we love Donna, we stand Donna. Honestly, I used to watch frenemies like every once in a while if it would come up my YouTube feed. Like if I saw something I would be interested in, I would watch a clip or something. But like I actually watch every episode of Families because Donna is a queen and we love her. Sorry. I'm not even an Ethan stan, I'm a Donna stan. So Donna tweeted that Trisha was a weasel. And then Trisha went fucking off about how Ethan was having his family fight his battles for him, which like, if Donna is a grown ass woman, she is like 60 something. If she wants to post on Twitter, she'll post on Twitter. Ethan can't stop her. I don't know in what world you think you can control your parents, but you can't. So like, that's not really them fighting their battles. And then she goes on to post about how Donna texted the most unthinkable, evil, pure evil, satanic thing to Moses when her and Ethan were fighting, and she won't post what it is. My assumption would be that it is about Hila's pregnancy. I'm assuming she's posted something like, your girlfriend's gonna cost Hila her baby because she has had infertility issues, she's finally pregnant, and now your fiance is out here attacking her and her baby daddy on the internet, and how are you going to feel if Hila loses the baby because of that? Which, like, maybe it's crossing a line, but I don't think it is, because again, they're family. Listen, family is allowed to say fucked up shit to each other. That's how it works. Trisha's not quite in the family yet though, so she needs to chill. And also, like, Donna is just a protective mother who is looking out for... My cat just swatted at my fucking... She has her nails stuck in my tripod. The disrespect. Donna is just a protective mother looking out for her grandchild. Is it the best thing to text somebody? No, but at the same time, it's a real concern. When people are pregnant, stress is the cause of a lot of issues. And especially someone like Hila who has struggled with infertility and had to go and like do infertility drugs in order to get pregnant. She was pregnant with multiples, which ended up just becoming one baby. So like, of course I would be stressed about that. Of course, also I don't know if this is what Donna said, but that's what Trisha said, because Trisha said it's the most evil thing ever, and that, but she won't tell us what it was, so I don't fucking know. Listen, we love Donna, and unless I see proof otherwise, I won't stop. So again, I didn't want to make this video until I listened to the podcast, but I listened to the podcast this morning and it was trash. The podcast was 38 minutes of Ethan slander, basically. It was Keemstar and Faze Banks talking about how much of a pussy Ethan is, how much Ethan sucks, and Trisha just sitting there and taking it. She would sometimes be like, well, like, I like Ethan more than you, Keemstar, but like, she would never defend him. Whenever they said he was a hypocrite or he was this or he was that, she was like, yeah, he is like that. Yeah, he is like that. And it's just like, I thought you were going on this podcast, Trisha, to stand up for yourself, to talk about age gaps, to talk about why Keemstar dating a 20-year-old is inappropriate, to stand up for your points. But instead, you just jumped on the Ethan hate train and decided that, quote, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Basically stating that Ethan is your enemy. When again, this man has done literally nothing to you. She literally... He posted a video after the frenemy split happened talking about the situation and talking about her 85 videos, and she called it a 40-minute hit piece. But if you watch the video, Ethan is so somber and sad in it, and he's trying to tell his side of the story without being rude to Trisha. So I'm getting strong Gabby Hanna vibes from this. Her perception is a little bit off in this situation because that's not a hit piece, like, at all. They also talk about how they have decided that Ethan is just bending to the will of his audience and all of his viewpoints, because he used to be racist and sexist and, you know, what they consider fun back in the day, and now he doesn't do that anymore. And like, how dare he? It's just like classic, like, oh, you've become a social justice warrior, which, like, first of all, catering to your audience as a content creator is called business. Second of all, they have decided that they're like, oh, people can grow and change, but Ethan's change isn't real. I know it's fake, it's plastic, which, like, first of all, none of you know him. The only person on this podcast that actually knows Ethan is Trisha, and she is just so blinded by her own hate that she won't stand up for him. They talk about David Dobrik, the Seth situation. Faze Banks makes it very clear he doesn't understand what consent is because he doesn't know when you get to change your mind. Like, Keemstar basically was like, well, Seth went on a podcast and said he was fine with the clout, and Trisha was like, okay, but like, that's different because, first of all, he didn't change his mind because he never fucking consented in the first place. And then Faze interrupts it and goes, yeah, but like, where's the line? What about when you hook up with a girl and 2 weeks later she says that she regrets it? Which is like such RAPE apology bullshit, because now you're bringing in false allegations, which doesn't happen. Those things happen like 1% of the time, so shut the fuck up. You know what happens in those situations? Faze, generally what happens is a girl hooked up with you, 2 weeks later she realizes that she was drunk and could not consent. She realizes that she was blackout and that wasn't actually her hooking up with you, that was the R word. Or she realizes she was unconscious. False rape allegations do not happen enough for us to even fucking talk about them. So why are you bringing it up? Because you're a fuckboy. Straight up. Done. Then they talk about the girlfriend, and apparently she's there, and Trisha backpedals faster than I've ever seen anyone backpedal in my whole life. She's like, well, like, it's just like my own shit, and she talks about her own trauma regarding essay and older men, and I would give a strong trigger warning to that if you're gonna watch the podcast, because Trisha's very nonchalant about it. But she's like, yeah, it's just like my own shit, and like, I guess some people can have healthy relationships, and like, she doesn't discuss the issues with power imbalance or the fact that he met her at a fan meetup or anything. She really just backpedals it completely. Basically the whole episode is anti-Ethan. She talks about how Ethan is a walking, talking hypocrite, just like her. And then Trisha and Keemstar both admit to starting drama online in order to stay relevant. Which is where I think this tweet from Trisha comes in very handy, right here. Keemstar asked me to come on an interview last week for Drama Alert, and I said no. This was in September of 2020. Only really sad and desperate for attention people go on there to interview about drama. It's so pathetic. Could not agree more. Look at me agreeing with Trisha Paytas. What a world. This is exactly it. Trisha basically says that her views on her channel are stagnant unless she gets into drama, which we all knew. She's lit. The fact that she doesn't want to be compared to Gabby Hanna is wild to me, because Gabby Hanna said this exact same thing in her series. They both start drama for views. It's very clear, and here I am talking about her. I can't, but I didn't watch her videos, and you can't make me. But it's just like, it's very clear that they both start drama for content. And like, also Keemstar talks about how he hates Keemstar claims that he didn't strike the channel, that he heard it from someone else's tweet, but he does say that he has sent clips of Ethan to his YouTube rep asking how this is okay. So like, it sounds like you might have striked someone. And also Keemstar did post the video where he tagged Susan and YouTube in it. So like, even if Keemstar didn't hit the strike button, what that does is that tells your millions of fans to go and hit that strike button and to strike the channel and to complain about it. So like, just because you didn't do it, it doesn't mean that you didn't start it. And also, I don't believe Keemstar, not for a second. He would take down Ethan in a second if he could. The whole thing is fucked up. Keemstar is a trash human who talks about how he enjoys bullying people and just wants to be allowed to bully them. And that's why he hates the double standard. It's not because Ethan's getting away with something he's not. It's because he wants the freedom to be a fucking bully, and he doesn't get it from YouTube because YouTube knows he's trash, so they watch him. And it's just like, it was just awful, and it's just like nail in the coffin for Trisha having no redemption arc. You know, I am such a cynical ass bitch, but like for some reason I keep giving these people chances. I watched Gabby's series with an open mind. I gave Trisha props for talking about Keemstar and the age gap, and then she just walked it right the fuck back the second she could get clout and drama over it. The second she could go on a podcast and like, you know, it's not even like they were bullying her on the podcast and like going hard at her and she like backed down because she felt like intimidated or something. Like, she caved long before they ever started talking. She never brought up points. She never brought up counterpoints. And I think it all goes back to the fact that Trisha is so desperate for somebody, anybody on YouTube who is a cool kid to accept her, that she will do anything to get that. Trisha has filtered through so many friend groups because all she wants is to feel like she belongs, because she has this like anxiety around not being good enough and not fitting in. So the same thing I said about her with Ethan, and that's why she, first of all, always sabotages everything, and that's why she went on this podcast and didn't say jack shit. Like, if you're not gonna go on the podcast and call Keemstar out on his shit, what's the fucking point? Your entire enemy series now has no point because you have proven that when push comes to shove, you will fold in the face of what is right and accountability, and it's absolutely trash. Oh, and speaking of accountability, they also bring up in the podcast that, you know, Trisha doesn't like things from her past being brought up. And she says it's because, you know, she's like, I've taken accountability for those things and I don't like people bring them up. I only bring up stuff from the past when people haven't taken accountability for it. But at the same time, she talks about how she doesn't like when people bring up the fact that she bruised Moses because she beat Moses. She has admitted to assaulting her boyfriend, of committing domestic violence against him, and his bruised pictures are online, and she's like, Nikita Dragon brought that up and I didn't appreciate that because like I've taken accountability for it, but I haven't seen you taking accountability for it, Trisha. And also, you don't get to determine when you've taken enough accountability. That's not how accountability works. That would be like if someone dropped an N-bomb and then Trisha Paytas decided when they took enough accountability. That's not your apology to accept. So it's just like more proof that she's delusional, and basically Trisha just likes to bring up people's past without accepting any accountability for her own. There are tons of things that she has not apologized for, and honestly, if you are sorry for what you did, you shouldn't care when people bring it up. You should happily apologize every single fucking time. But yeah, this is where we are. The podcast was trash. Don't listen to it. It's a waste of your entire life. Trisha backpedaled on the age gap relationship. She did not stand her ground for 1 second. And I just think that a lot of people will say like, oh, this is just Trisha being Trisha, or like, oh, it's not that big of a deal, but you know, she's just having a conversation. But there are some people that you just shouldn't have conversations with. Some people you shouldn't platform. Why are you helping Keemstar and Faze Banks get more views? It's disgusting. Again, please don't forget that Keemstar is an R-word apologist as well. He has said on multiple occasions that he doesn't believe that Jessie Smiles was R-worded by Curtis. He has said that you can't be assaulted orally, that he believes that Jake Paul's victim is a liar. So like, where was that when you went in there, Trisha? You're all happy for Gabby. You're all happy to sit on the podcast and say, well, yeah, what Gabby has said about Jessie Smiles is absolutely fucked up. But he has said the same shit. And Keemstar posted a picture after of him and Gabby, because Gabby's gonna be in the podcast next. And how much money do you have that they're gonna talk about Jessie Smiles a fucking again, and they're going to agree that she's crazy and Gabby is the innocent one? I mean, honestly, Keemstar was on this podcast like defending Gabby and saying she's misunderstood, and I'd like to die, please. Because of course he would feel bad for Gabby, because he's also a trash human who can't take accountability for anything he's done. I also think it's important to note again that Ethan is not just some enemy. He is literally family. I watch frenemies. I watch some frenemies. I watch the follow to frenemies. I watch families. He has tiptoed around the Trisha situation since it happened because he wants everything to go back to normal. You can tell. And the fact that Trisha did this maliciously, knowing how much it would hurt Ethan, only because she knew it would get her fucking clout, is pathetic and disgusting. And it shows you exactly who Trisha is. She is the kind of person that wants clout, she wants fame and fortune more than anything. She will sell out her firstborn fucking child to get clout and fame and attention. And that's just who she is. You can talk about accountability, you can talk about whatever, but you love drama not because you actually care about the things you're talking about it's because you want the clout. And it's gross. Also in the podcast, Trisha brought up how Ethan keeps saying that she wanted the whole crew fired and she's still really upset about it because that's not true. But like, let me say this one more time. Trisha, you wanted an entirely new crew just for frenemies. That means that the old crew that already worked on frenemies would be let go from their frenemies tasks. And if you don't think they're making extra money because they're also working on frenemies, you're on crack. So you are taking work away from them, which would take pay away from them, which would fire them from frenemies. Am I speaking French? Like, that seems like a pretty logical line to me. You want a new crew, which means you'd have to get rid of the old crew, which is firing the old crew. Her mental gymnastics. Whose mental gymnastics are worse, hers or Gabby's? Like, again, the fact that she thinks this is normal, the fact that she thinks she's not like Gabby is wild to me. And now Gabby's gonna be on the next episode, so I could bet you $1 million they're just gonna clown on Trisha, and it's gonna be gross. And again, all this has proven to me is that Trisha Paytas has no morals. Her redemption arcs generally end in crashing and burning every single time. Every single time anyone gives her props or she starts to make any sort of change positively, she crashes and burns and spits in everyone's face who ever believed in her, and I think it's gross. And I think this situation is more than just internet beef, and I don't like that because, again, we're talking about power imbalances, we're talking about R-word apology, we're talking about real issues here, and you are supporting someone who did those things and has not apologized for them. And then he goes and has Gabby on the next show. Did he even tell you that? Like, Ethan would never is all I'm saying. So I know there's people out there that don't like Ethan, and that's fine. I don't care. I'm not here either way. I just don't understand the Ethan hate. I think it's because people like Faze Banks and Keem said, like, people really loved that he was like a really problematic, offensive human, and then like he grew up and they're upset about it and they call him a sellout for it. Like, oh my God, how dare he? And like I said in my last video, yeah, Ethan crosses the line sometime, and yeah, Ethan can be a hypocrite, but I don't think that takes away from everything that's going on in this situation. Trisha is gross, Keemstar is gross, Faze Banks is gross. Don't waste your time listening to the podcast. It's trash. And overall, I just feel really sad for Ethan's family, and especially Hila, because like I feel like she's so stuck in the middle of this because like really like Moses isn't Ethan's brother. I don't know how close they are, but like he's Hila's brother, like blood brother. And like now, what the fuck is this wedding gonna be like? This is gonna be like a fucking reality show. It's gonna be a disaster. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know down below what you guys think. Are you as enraged as I am about Trisha doing this? Do you have no expectations for her? Should I have had no expectations for her? Am I an idiot for like giving her the benefit of the doubt? I clearly am. I would love to hear what you guys have to say down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye!